We have new polling from the Remington Research Group. Almost 2,000 likely voters. Who do you want to be the next LA County District Attorney? The election's in March. And don't be alarmed when I tell you this. The top vote getter for the March primary is Gascon at 18%, but that's because he has 9 candidates splitting up the rest. And he's not going to get 50%. So he has to go to a runoff. Second place right now is Nathan Hochman, 12%. He's the top challenger. John Hatame at 8%. And then the list goes on from there in single digits. The key here is they picked Gascon and Hochman, said, okay, if those two finish as the top 2 choices in the primary, who do you want in a general election? 56% for Hochman, 18% for Gascon, 26% undecided. Even if Gascon gets all the undecided voters, he'd still lose by double digits. And what's interesting is Gascon gets 18% in the primary and 18% in the general election. So he doesn't get a single vote from any of his challengers. Nobody jumps into the Gascon camp. 18%, that's his hard ceiling. Unusual. You don't run into that very often. Let's get Nathan Hochman on, since he was the best of the challengers, according to this poll. Nathan, welcome.
Thanks for inviting me, John.
And I should say, as by way of introduction for people unfamiliar, you are a former federal prosecutor, assistant U.S. Attorney General. You're the president of the LA City Ethics Commission. You've run for office before, so you've got a well-known name, which obviously helps you in this primary run.
Certainly, that helps. The fact that Steve Cooley, the former 3-term LA DA, has endorsed me, as well as 5 LA U.S. attorneys. And the fact that we've, been able to raise money. We were actually at $1.1 million, which sets a record for a DA's race, with over 1,200 donors across the whole political divide and geographic divide of LA County.
I guess the campaign is going to become much more public after the first of the year when people are paying attention. I imagine you've got much more, be a much bigger media presence, commercials for radio and television. Is that a good guess?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think part of the focus of any race is to figure out when the voters are most paying attention, and that's when you'll go ahead and activate the funds that you've raised. Part of the advantage about raising every other challenger by at least double is that I'll be able to get the word out on TV, radio, social media, and hopefully your station, social media and print mail to let them know that I'm running and what I stand for. And it's basically the opposite in many respects of what George Gascon stands for. He's a DA that has enacted the most pro-criminal policies in LA County history as a DA. I'm basically someone who puts victims and the public first rather than the interests of criminals.
He has absolutely demoralized his staff, the assistant DAs. And he's demoted anybody who contradicted him. He's been sued by many of them. What are you going to do to get everybody back on the same team, to restore the camaraderie and just restore the morale of the entire staff, because it's been devastated?
Well, the way you restore morale in large part is that you trust the people below us or below you. When Gascon gets into power in December of 2020, he issues 9 blanket policies that basically told the over 800 deputy district attorneys, the prosecutors in court every day, that they cannot go ahead and do their job effectively, that they couldn't bring gun and gang enhancements if the evidence called for it, that they couldn't try certain juveniles who committed, huge mass murders as adults, that they couldn't, prosecute certain misdemeanors, even though the evidence called for it. What I would do immediately is restore that trust. Tell the 800 plus deputy district attorneys that, look, you represent thousands of years of collective prosecutorial experience and wisdom, and I'm ready to trust that wisdom. We're going to lead you, but we're going to let you do your job and follow the evidence and follow the law where it will. That same message then goes out to law enforcement. My brother and I are the co-founders of the LA Sheriff's Foundation. We've talked to deputy sheriffs and police all over this county who, you are right, are completely demoralized because they bring these very good cases to the DA's office only to have Gascon's blanket policies basically negate them. So I bring that same sort of partnership to law enforcement and say, look, folks, I got your back. That I'm someone who will actually, if you do your job and you bring the evidence and the investigation to the DA's office, we'll apply the law. And if it's a righteous case, we're bringing that righteous case. We're going to take politics and a political ideology out of the mix and bring back independence, evidence, and law, which sounds like something that you would expect the DA to do. But we have now spent 3 years going away from that, and I would bring it back on day one.
How much of the Gascon revolution are you going to roll back if you got into office?
You'd roll back the whole political ideology part. You'd roll that back almost 100%. In other words, to the extent that Gascon has enacted blanket policies that routinely favor criminals over victims. Another example, he has banned all prosecutors from going with victims to parole hearings of their victimizers. So in other words, if a rape victim wants to go to a parole hearing of someone who raped them and is now seeking to get out of their jail term early, in the old days, the DA would accompany, the prosecutor would accompany the victim to explain the case to the parole board. Gascon has forbidden that. I would bring that back on day one. And again, show people in a tangible way that the DA's office is about the public, protecting the public. It's about protecting victims. And we will absolutely ensure every defendant has 100% due process, but we will apply the law, we will apply the evidence, and we'll put the true public safety threats in jail.
There supposedly is 14,000 cases unprosecuted, which is hard to believe. Is that possible? And if that's anywhere close to true, what are you going to do about all that if you take over?
Well, there are two things that are true. One, you have a huge backload of cases that are unprosecuted. And again, these are cases with real victims in them that are just waiting for the justice to occur. Plus, you have a huge deficit of hiring in the DA's office because no one, quite candidly, wants to work for George Gascon and basically get into a job where immediately you're going to be handcuffed from actually doing the job. So as soon as people, and I'm talking talented lawyers, understand that the LA DA's office is open for business again, that we are going to basically reward and accelerate and promote people who want to do their job effectively, you'll bring back the prosecutors. You'll bring back the additional 100 or so prosecutors that are currently funded in positions that for which there are vacancies. And then you'll then be able to tackle the huge backload of cases that having fewer prosecutors there has created. So while it won't be done overnight, you will absolutely be able to go and chip away at that entire number so that number will become zero, certainly within the first year or two in which I would be in office.
The Nextdoor app is a daily list of local burglaries and all kinds of quality of life crimes that everybody posts. And the running joke in the comments that I see every day is, well, I'd call the police, but what's the point? Gascon's not going to prosecute or Gascon's going to let the guy go. And almost every day, those are the comments I see. The public is demoralized too. And that's going to be a challenge as well, to believe that, finally now things are going to change.
It'll be a huge challenge. I mean, those are the three interest groups that a DA has to basically restore confidence about on day one. You've got his own office, the 800 so prosecutors. And by the way, 97.8% of them voted to support George Gascon's recall, which was shocking. Second is law enforcement. You got to reestablish that partnership so that law enforcement knows that if they work hard, the DA's office will in turn do its job. And then the public, because it's incredibly dangerous for the public to believe that the law enforcement system is no longer working. That's a situation where very often people will take justice in their own hands because they don't believe that law enforcement or the DA's office will bring justice. And that's something we obviously have to prevent. But we have to prevent it by having the DA and the DA's office do its job again.
All right, Eric, we'll talk again after New Year's because we're going to cover this story the first 2-3 months of the year more than any other. It's the most important thing going on locally, I think, as far as elections are concerned. So good luck, and we'll talk again in January.
Thank you very much, and happy holidays, John.
You too. Nathan Hochman, he is the former federal prosecutor, assistant U.S. Attorney General, and the leading challenger to take on George Gascon. And again, I gotta insist here so that no one's misled. Hochman, Gascon's at 18%, Hochman 12%. John Hatami, 8%. Everyone else, 6, 6, 3, 1, 1. There's probably 40% undecided. I'm just doing this off the top of my head here. Yeah, probably 40%, 45% undecided. So while Hochman has a 4-point lead for second place, it's by no means an overwhelming advantage. There's going to be quite a spirited campaign. Hatami is doing well at 8%. And I think the big story in this is, just to use Nathan Hochman's name as a placeholder, if he and Gascon were in the top two, Hochman would win 56-18 in the general election. And I suspect most of the rest of these challengers would win by a huge margin as well. So these poll numbers are absolutely devastating to Gascon. I don't think he has a hope. He could survive the primary, but he's going to get destroyed in November. Now, who's going to destroy him? Well, that's what we got the next 3 months to find out.